twisted fingers reached closer and closer. And it seemed his fate was sealed. But all she wanted was to give him a little pat on the head.
That was a good story, Gingy. But let me tell you a much scarier one, because every word of it is true. Around here, there's an old story about a cat who lived on a lonely farm not far from these woods. Every evening, he walked home along a narrow dirt road that cut through a cornfield. At the edge of that road stood an old scarecrow. One day, for no reason at all, the cat tipped his hat and said, "Good evening." Of course, the scarecrow didn't answer. The cat smiled at himself and kept walking toward his farm, but the moment his back was turned, the scarecrow stepped down from its post and quietly began following him. After a while, the cat felt that strange feeling, the kind that makes the fur on the back of your neck stand up. He stopped and looked behind him. He could have sworn he'd already walked much farther than that. But he shook it off and continued on his way. This time the scarecrow didn't follow, or so he thought. That evening, as the cat sat alone in his farmhouse eating dinner, the scarecrow stood silently outside the kitchen window, watching him, and the cat never noticed. That night, something woke him. He opened his eyes and looked toward the window. The scarecrow was standing there, right outside the farmhouse. The cat stared at it in silence. He couldn't remember ever putting the scarecrow that close to the house. For a moment, he thought about going outside, but then he shook his head. It's just a scarecrow, he told himself. He pulled the curtains shut, climbed back into bed, and decided he'd deal with it in the morning. But the next morning, the scarecrow was gone. Maybe it had all just been his imagination, he thought. Then he looked toward the cornfield. The scarecrow was back where it always stood. But this time, it raised one hand and waved. The cat ran. The scarecrow followed him all the way to the farmhouse. The cat slammed the door shut, locked it, and hid in the cellar. His heart was pounding so hard he could barely breathe. Then he saw it, strands of straw slowly slipping through the narrow gap beneath the cellar door, as if something on the other side was trying to squeeze its way in. The cat backed into the corner, clutching his flashlight. And then the light went out. He had no idea how much time had passed, but when he finally found the courage to leave the cellar, the scarecrow was gone. There was no sign of it inside the farmhouse. There was no sign of it outside either. Then he looked toward the cornfield. The scarecrow was gone. Only the empty post remained, as if the scarecrow had simply stepped down and left it behind. The cat hurried back to the farmhouse, trembling with fear. He opened the front door, and there it was. The scarecrow was sitting at his table, eating his dinner, as if it had come to take his place. The cat ran. And he never came back. But folks around here still say, if you ever pass an old farmhouse beside a cornfield and see a scarecrow sitting quietly inside, don't wave at it.
Wow, now that was a scary story.
Oh, I've got plenty more where that came from.
To tell a scary story.
Do you think every one of Gregory's stories is true? I don't think I want to find out.